do you have any, tips or strategies for sellers that are, thinking about selling their homes? Because I think, we can all agree that we're in a, much different market than we were a year ago, even.
And someone from Long Island, New York, it was an agent referring a buyer down this way. And he said, so you're in a seller's market now, right? And I was like, oh, heck no. We've been in a buyer's market for a while now. It's a challenging market. So for a seller out there, I don't think they're as often as I used to see, where they're just unrealistic. But you have to paint for every agent that's listening out there, you have to be realistic with these sellers, because it's, if you're taking their listing and having open houses, and we do a lot of broker opens and then nothing, happens, you've just wasted their time and your time because you weren't being realistic with the seller.
Right.
And if you have to go somewhere, you have to go somewhere. We've had tough conversations. Appraisal's not coming in, and the market's not crashing. It's not like, oh my gosh, the market's crashing, but it's definitely in a downtrend.
Welcome to another episode of Discover St. Cloud, Florida. I'm Kristin Macari, and I'm here with your host,
Jeanine Corcoran, broker for Corcoran Connect Realty.
Awesome. So it is time for the May 2026 market report for all of St. Cloud.
And we are into June already.
I know. It's definitely like summer full-blown, like weather-wise, it feels like, right?
Too
like
hot. So
hot. The afternoon thunderstorms are coming, which I do love, so that's nice. But it has been quite toasty. But so I guess, do you want to kick us off and tell us what happened in 34769?
So in 34769, we had a total of 17 homes that sold, and this is usually the State Street in downtown St. Cloud. And of that, 16 were single stories, of course, at 223.14, and there was one two-story at 149.6. So that's kind of low price per square foot.
It is. Month over month, we're a little bit up, but I think we're about 4% higher. But I remember last month having like a big swing down, so I think it just kind of like corrected and stabilized. But it is down about 6.1% from May of 2025.
Oh, wow.
So it did take, a little bit of a, softening there. And then one other thing I thought, I was like, wow, 17 homes doesn't sound like a lot for 34769. And there, in May of 2025, we had 30 sales. So for comparisons, so like, that is a lot.
It
is. It's not quite half, but it's just a little bit more than half.
Wow.
The number of homes that we had sold last.
Yeah, that's usually a quick happening.
Yeah, because it's usually that more like entry-level price point, so it's easier to find buyers for. But your current median days to contract is 21 days, and then median days to close is 58. But for your current listings, your active listings on the market, you're looking at 118 days.
That's
right now.
Yeah.
So, even though we're giving you these, what the close statistics are, the rest of the homes that are sitting on the market, they are sitting for quite some time. So maybe it's, time for price adjustments, maybe you need to put a little bit more improvements in it. You know what I mean? So just be conscious, that kind of thing. Like when we are giving you these numbers, these listings that sell, I feel like you can probably attest to that. The ones that are selling are the ones that have a really good strategy or a really good home.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you're competing with the new builds,
right?
So that's really tough. So either your price has to be drastic, or you have to offer some closing costs.
Right.
Well, then there are those homes that have pools that sell better.
Right.
At least in this area. Just really, it's all over the place. It just depends.
It's so crazy. I'd love to be like, well, this is exactly what's selling and you should do this to your house. But it's really, just a combination of things. And I think gone are the days too, like where you can just list your house for sale and not paint it, not replace the carpet, not, you know what I mean? Like
I think definitely the older homes all have to be updated.
Yeah. It's really a challenge.
So if you're thinking of selling within the next 3 to 5 years, go ahead and do your updates now so you can enjoy them.
Yes, exactly. Don't do it for somebody else and then move right out. But, just go ahead and put some love into those things now, because I think that makes a difference when you're trying to get things sold.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's go on to 34771, Narcousie Road area. And there we had a total of 101 homes that sold. Of that, 55 were single stories at 233.92 price per square foot. And we had a total of 46 two stories at 194.07.
Yep. So your month over month averages are down about 0.23% month over month. So really just a 0.25%. That's a minimal. That's,
yeah.
I don't even think that's just the number of 2 stories versus 1 stories probably. And then year over year, you're down about 0.64%. So a little over 0.5%. Softening in that area, but I would consider those numbers all pretty in line with each other. So that's an average thing. I don't think that we're seeing too many big swings in that zip code. Your median days to contract is currently 46, and your median days to close is 76. But your current listings, your average days on market are 102.
Okay.
So they're sitting for, again, and the numbers that we use for our days to contract and days to close, those are all without new builds.
Right.
So that's all your resale homes anyway. But your current listings have been sitting for about 102 days on average.
What was the data from last year?
So last year we actually had more. I looked
More
at
closings?
Yeah. So last year we had 104 total sales in May of 2025, and that this month, May of 2026, we had 101 resale homes for May of 2025. There were 30 for resale homes, and then there were 46 resale homes in May of 2026. So we actually had more resales than
Okay.
and then the total overall home sales in May 2025 was about the same as we are this year. So 34771 was pretty. I felt like it was the most steady zip code.
Wow. So let's go on to 34772. We had 70 homes that sold. Of that, 43 of them was single stories at 212.61 price per square foot. And then we had 27 two stories at 179.32.
Yep. And so your month over month averages are down about 3.6%. And then your year over year averages are down about 9.39%. So a bigger, dip year over year. Your median days to contract is 53 days to contract and 89 days to close, but your current listings have been sitting for about 106 days.
Oh, wow.
So you're seeing some, again, we're in triple digits there. Just for comparison's sake, in May of 2025, we had 75 sales total. This month, May of 2026, we had 70. So that's about the same. But your resale homes in May of 2025, there were 48 resales. And in May of 2026, there were only 32 resales. Oh. So, you can kind of see in some of those zip codes that have more new construction that you're seeing, it's a little
They
tougher.
certainly do in 34771.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to 34773, which also includes Harmony. So we had 21 homes that sold. Of that, 11 single stories at 214.07 and 10 two stories at 183.59.
So your month over month averages in 34773 are down about 1.1%. And year over year, you're down about 3.9%. Your median days to contract is 36 days and median days to close is 86. And right now, your average days on market for your listings, your active listings, are 101 in that zip code. So
that surprises me. I thought
it feels longer.
Yes.
Well, that is the average number. So
That's true.
It could be anything. So if you compare May sales of 2025 to 2026, in 2025, we had 32 sales. So 2026, we're at 21 sales. So you see, a smaller number of overall homes sold in 2026. And then in May of 2025, our resales, there were 5 resales. And May of 2026, there were 6 resales. Oh, wow. So about the same number of resales.
Okay.
So that takes care of Harmony.
That surprises me.
34773.
Well, now we'll go ahead and give you a quick synopsis of Harmony for all those Harmony residents out there. So in Harmony, Maine, we all know what that is. There was only one condo that sold, and it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, and it sold at $207,500. Then we had 2 resales. And the average on the resales, they were both single stories. The average came out to $199.29 price per square foot. Then we have 1 custom home on Brackenfern that sold. That came in at $171.57 price per square foot. It was a 2-story. And we only had 2 in the 55 and older at the lakes. They were both in South Lake. And so that average came in at $211.89. So that's it for Harmony West. We had 6 properties.
Wow.
Not Harmony West,
Maine.
sorry, Harmony, Maine. Yeah. So that's it. So then we go on to Harmony West. We had 3 2-stories. We had 8 in Harmony West, and we had 7 in Harmony Central. Sorry, I didn't do that. Yeah. But yeah, it's quite well. It's about the same. I mean, we had 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like an overwhelming number. No. What are you seeing in the real estate market right now? Like, how do you feel like this summer? Because summer is usually a busier time because people want to make the move between school years, it feels like. So how do you feel this summer in terms of activity, what you're seeing? Are there any trends that you're noticing?
I am. So one thing that I noticed is something I would never tell a seller to do, but now the mindset has changed. Because there aren't that many buyers and there are more houses to choose from, particularly in the resale.
Right.
So buyer comes along, they absolutely love your house, but they have to go back and put their house on the market. Normally with a seller, I would say, no, we're not going to do that.
Right.
But now you have a buyer that actually loves your house and you're not getting showings. So why not work with the buyer that we have?
Right.
So we take the contract, give them 60 days to go ahead and get a contract on their house, because chances are the seller's going to be sitting there in 60 days anyway.
Right.
So why not grab that one buyer? Like, we're all fighting for these buyers.
Well, and also at the price that they're willing to pay, right? Like,
right.
Because if the house is still sitting there in 60 days, they might be like, oh, look at you, Mr. Seller. I have a lower offer now because you've been sitting longer.
Right. That is true, too. Because we negotiate at a better price for the seller because the seller is the one taking more of the risk than the buyer.
Right.
So that's a good point. Yeah. If the seller says, no, come back when you get a contract.
If it's 60 days from now and your house is still on the market, they're like, well, now I don't want to offer $400,000. I'm going to give you $380,000.
Right. Right. So I've done a couple like that. They both worked out. Both got the contract within 30 days.
Right.
And it's worked out, and that just worked out well for the seller. But it was almost like, I don't know. It's like some kind of movie or something. Like there's a buyer. Grab him. I don't know. And even for me, I'm working, a lot more with buyers, which I don't normally do, but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy market out there.
Yeah. It's a challenging time. And so do you have any, tips or strategies for sellers that are, thinking about selling their homes? Because I think, we can all agree that we're in a, much different market than we were a year ago, even.
As someone from Long Island, New York, it was an agent referring a buyer down this way. And he said, so you're in a seller's market now, right? And I was like, oh, heck no. We've been in a buyer's market for a while now. It's a challenging market. So for a seller out there, I don't think they're as often as I used to see, where they're just unrealistic. But you have to paint for every agent that's listening out there, you have to be realistic with these sellers, because it's, if you're taking their listing and having open houses, and we do a lot of broker opens and then nothing, happens, you've just wasted their time and your time because you weren't being realistic with the seller. Right. If you have to go somewhere, you have to go somewhere. We've had tough conversations. Appraisal's not coming in, and the market's not crashing. It's not like, oh my gosh, the market's crashing, but it's definitely in a downtrend.
Right.
And
it's challenging, because like you said, if people are trying to move and people, obviously you want the most money for your house. I think we talked about this last month, where people who purchased prior to say 2022 are still okay. But like 2022 and on, you're getting a little close, if not like, pushing the envelope. So it's, it's starting to get, a little uncomfortable for those kinds of potential sellers that,
No, I know. It's just...
you think?
Even like we had a broker's open at a house. When we did our Harmony once a month broker open, and good advice came from all the agents, and they drastically reduced their price. And then actually one of the agents that was at the broker open was the person who bought the buyer, and that was closing this week. So,
Yeah.
So
it was helpful.
It was very helpful, helpful. And it's helpful to get other opinions of other... they might come up with something that you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. But
Right. Oh, if you just offered this one little thing, or if you just, that god awful orange bedroom, if you could just paint it a neutral color, somebody would buy that house.
No more, it's just paint. They could paint it. We'll give you a paint allowance. In this market, they just have so much to choose from.
It is. There really is. And especially, like you said, we've talked about it a bunch of times, if you're in an area that still has new construction nearby, especially with people that may not be familiar with individual communities, they're like, why would I spend, because I think we've talked about this before too, where people look at what the house is going to cost them in a monthly payment. it's not really about the price of the house or what
It's like buying a car.
It is. What is that going to cost me a month? You know? And so unfortunately, you know, for resale homes, you're not necessarily able to offer the same kinds of rates that builders can, or incentives to get people to close. And so, you know, that's a big competition if somebody is not familiar with, you know, which is also why it's really important to have a great agent that understands your community and can really sell it, you know?
Right. Yeah, I had, it's kind of going out of the area, it was in Lake Nona, but she was off the market because they were doing construction. She'd been off the market for a good 6 months or something, but she came back. She wanted to add another 20,000 to it, but she wanted to sell quick.
You wanted to take 20,000 off? Great idea.
But the funny part was, she went on the builder, because we always go to the builder's website. Okay, the builder's still building in here. Okay, what are they offering? Oh, I found the floor plan, the SCAT model. She took all four that they were offering and averaged it, and that's how she came up with her price. Her new price, which was 20,000 more than we had it. And ultimately, she, you know, I had a conversation with her, and I said, did you see the little note, like above where the price for the builder was? They're giving $20,000 in incentives. That means that price house, the lowest one, was at the price $350 where we want to be, is really, you know, $20,000 left.
Right.
You know, like
right.
$330.
Right.
You know, but anyway, so she went with the price that she was at before. But
yeah,
it's just like,
no,
the builders are killing us. But.
Yeah. I mean, they got to unload their inventory, right? They finally got caught back up after COVID, and now they're like, got to sell. So anyway, I think the only thing left that we didn't touch on then is the vacant land for this month, which there were really only 4 parcels that sold, and nothing large, you know, just about an acre for all of them, 3 cash, 1 seller financing. The highest price was $240.
Yeah.
I don't even know where that road is. It's Oesterle, Oesterle. But anyway, so that must be close to like a main highway of some sort.
Yeah,
nice corner frontage.
That was a seller financing, right?
Nope, it's the one above it.
Oh, one above it. Okay,
yep, it's a cash.
Okay,
so, but yeah, there was only 4 sold.
They're all around an acre, which is odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But
Very
I think we're like, are we running out of the big land?
Yeah, no, not yet. There's plenty of signs on 192.
Yeah.
We're definitely not running out of big land, but wow, that's it.
Yeah, so
That's
not
all
much.
there is, so.
Well, I'm curious to see you have any predictions for the rest of summer?
I don't know. I mean, because this market, I mean, in the beginning of the year, it picked up a little bit, and then it just kind of fizzles out, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all still closing. I mean, you know, but it's different. You know, it's everyone's sales are down. Like when I look at the agents in the office compared to last year and stuff like that, it's just a harder market.
Right. It is more challenging for sure. I think that, you know, just again, if you've got buyers that you're working with, it's really a great time for them. You know, if you are a buyer, if you're not currently attached in a home that you have to sell, like you're in a fantastic position right now to come out and try and find something that you really love. I think that, it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the year does. Everything's just been so up and down, and it just
because September it slows down after school, but you don't know, like this year could be different if something changes with the feds, or it's constantly have to be watching the news. But if you're a seller, there's hope. Believe me, there's hope. Someone said something, do you think you could sell it? And all I said was, well, let me tell you, I sold a house with live termites. You remember that one?
I do.
Live termites. And it was at that moment I said, I don't think there's anything I could not sell. If you could sell a house with live termites, for the right price, that's the whole thing. Right price, best thing for the buyer at this point in this market. You could sell anything.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, and it's funny because like sometimes you'll list something that's just it's got something super unique. Like we talked about pool houses or whatever the case may be, something so good that like that sucker will go in 3 days, and it's not a big deal. And then you have your average house in an average neighborhood on an average lot with average upgrades. And that one's more challenging, and you might have to compete on price, you know? And so, it just really depends. So if you're if you're considering moving, if you're considering relocating or whatever the case may be, definitely reach out. We'd be happy to give you a opinion on your house and see what goes from there.
For sure.
But thank you so much for joining us for the May 2026 market report for St. Cloud, Florida. You can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can also check us out online.
You can see on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the above. And don't forget that these Harmony reports are on our website under CorcoranConnect.com. You go under St. Cloud, find Harmony, and there you have it. You have all the reports.
Yep. So thank you so much for joining us. You can always reach us by email if you have any questions, comments, anything like that. You want us to take a look at your listing? Wouldn't that be cool? Send it to us. We'll take a look.
Oh, that would be cool if you send it a listing. Then we give our opinion.
Yeah.
Give credit to the listing agent, of course.
100%. But if you want to reach out to us, you can email us at discoverstcloud@gmail.com or give us a call
at 1-844-St. Cloud, the STCLOUD.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next episode.